Trans kids.
My dazzling trans youngsters.
My young trans powerhouses.
My courageous trans bunnies.
Beautiful, extraordinary trans kids. Hi, we love you. That wasn't part of the script, but I added it.
You're extraordinary.
You're inspiring.
You're exactly who you're supposed to be.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
No one can erase who you are, no matter how hard they try. You are a gift to this world.
You.
Doesn't get that.
Why did the Ukraine FBI informant file refer you as the Why is that term continuously applied?
Why did I ask such a dumb question?
It's actually a great question. It's a question every single reporter should be asking. Because before we even knew Joe Biden was the big guy, before we even had the laptop, a Ukrainian businessman told an FBI informant that he bribed the big guy $5 million. He used the phrase the big guy when Joe was VP, years before the nickname went public. And tonight we're learning the big guy was throwing his weight around.
My dad's generation and your generation. What the fuck? Men back in the days and men today. I think the reason why the Martians or whoever is out there hasn't come because we're not worth the shit. Why bother with us? True self-esteem has to be earned with scar tissue. If anything in my seminar offends you, blame your parents for raising a pussy.
My friends, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast. We're here we talk about people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, the one and only Austin Creed. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about the people today, and I got to be the one to break the bad news to you. The people who failed you were, well, multiple people, actually, not just one party in particular. But I got to bring to your attention the people who have failed you. And in doing so, they set you up for a fall. And why do I say such a thing? Well, because it ties into this greater theme that I'm going to present to you today. Some of you might have heard this saying before, but weak men, I think, here's how it goes. It goes, weak men create hard times create hard men create good times, and then good times create weak men. And it goes in this societal circle. It's like this little circle. And right now, we are at the weak men create hard times. When I look around and I see the weak parenting, I see political corruption, I see the degeneration of dating, I see civilization crumbling, the pillars that built the Western civilization one by one being uprooted, destroyed, and subverted. What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to say that everything is good? That progress is good because it's progress? That everything is just hunky-dory and I should just move on, dummy up, not look at it? No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do it, and neither should you. Now, there's not just one factor that's led to this. If there was, well, then that would be very easy, and that's what I'd be talking about today. But I do not believe there is just one culprit behind this case that I'm presenting to you today. Now, as for these weak men, I'm going to have to call some of them out. And now this may not apply to every single person listening to the show. However, I want you to look through your life, and I want you to really see how well this rings true for you. All right? Number one, one of the weak men was probably your father. Whether he was intentionally weak or was unintentionally weak, it makes no difference. I almost played a clip for you about parenting versus, parenting of the 80s, the 90s, and whatnot, maybe that our parents had, depending on how old you are, versus the parenting that you got if you were raised in the early 2000s, the 2010s, whenever you were raised. Seeing the stark difference between how parents and children interacted. But instead, I played for you the clip of the older gentleman talking about how his father was raised versus how kids today are raised. He was talking about the stark contrast and how if you're offended by it, you are weak. So that to me is the stark revelation between the the past, and the present. And it shows just in one way how we've gotten to the place we've arrived at. Look, okay, I'm gonna say something right now. The whole LGBTQ movement and everything, that movement's always existed. All right, it didn't just show up in like 2008, 2010. It didn't just randomly show up then. Whether it's trans people, gay people, whatever it is, these people have always existed. These people have lived in every civilization, in every tribe, in every nation ever. Okay? So, this is no new phenomenon. The only thing that's new is the fact that now it's being lauded, it's being praised. And that's why we're seeing a rise in it. Before, it was just some people were born like that. Some people are just naturally more inclined in that direction. But now it's being pushed as almost a virtue instead of just the way it's always been, which is some people are just naturally have those tendencies. I want to show you something that might be unrelated in your mind, but to me it's extremely relevant. And I've shown this graph on the show before, but I'm going to show it again regardless. Here it is. Gallup poll, American self-identification as LGBTQ by generation. Let's go down to the traditionalists, in other words, the silent generation. Let's see what they have. The percentage was 0.8%. Straight, 92.2%. No response, 7%. Boomers, 2.6% LGBTQ. Gen X, 4.2%. Millennials, 10.5%, over a double of Generation X. Gen Z, almost another double, 20.8%. My generation, I was born in the year 2000. My generation, 20% of people are LGBTQ. Let me ask you something. How do we go from less than 1% 50 years ago to 50 years later, that number has gone up to 20%? You want to explain that to me? I guarantee you, some of it has to do with some people. There was a stigma back in the day. I'm not blind to that. Not blind to it. But that doesn't account for 20%. No. If you try to tell me that, you're a liar. It accounts for maybe 3 to 5%. Tops. But now, look at this. Look at this. It's almost doubled, if not more than doubled, every generation. How do you explain that? Oh, I can explain it for you if you can't put 2 and 2 together and come up with 4. It's the fact that society is pushing it. It's glorified. You are a sacred cow. In India, back in the day, and even now in Hindu culture, the cow is revered as a sacred animal. You can't hunt it. You can't kill it. At least to my understanding. These are the sacred cows of American society. That is why you have instant reputation, instant protection, instant friends, instant status, instant power. Why would you not do it? And especially if you're a kid, you feel ostracized. You go through every phase that every child goes through, which is, I want to feel accepted. I want to find my place in the world. I want to be understood. I want to be loved. Whatever it is that you find valuable, kids go through this stuff. And so what do? They take the shortcut, which in this case is this. Community. This is the shortcut. Now, let me ask you something. Do you think that's related in some way? I do. I think it's partially due to weak parenting, with a sprinkle of political corruption. I mean, let's be honest. Despite some of this being alleged, I don't think maybe all of it maybe should be alleged, but regardless, just so I don't get thrown off the internet and thrown off YouTube and canceled, I'll say that it's alleged for the time being, that Joe Biden is corrupt. Why is there really no investigation? Why does it feel like it's being covered up? I guarantee you, if it was Trump, he'd be exposed tomorrow, if not yesterday. Why is it that he's being handled with kid gloves? You ever notice that when he's questioned by these things, he's suddenly not really that senile anymore? He's suddenly very literate. Suddenly he's very alert, very kind of cheeky and crafty. You never notice that too? Let me show you something else. This might, again, in your mind be unrelated. To me, it's another symptom of the problem. Let me bring it up right here. Why do Generation Z and millennial men have lower testosterone levels? Oh, did you know about this? I did. Let's look at it. For decades, testosterone levels have been declining. Your granddad may not have been quite as swift with Excel, but he's probably one up to you with testosterone levels. Yeah, that's true. He says it's normal for testosterone levels to decline as you get older. That is true. But for some reason now, pay attention, there's been a population level drop with each generation, at least since the 70s. Attention, potheads. Attention, you know nothing lowlifes. We know who you are. This is extremely important. This means, on average, that Gen Zers and millennials have significantly lower testosterone levels compared to their predecessors. Really? Let me pull up this chart again. You don't think that this self-identification is somehow tied to the fact that the testosterone levels are dropping? I don't know. I think it's possible. Let's keep going. Now, to what do they owe this falling level to? You might say, oh, well, Austin, this is hogwash. What proof do you have? Well, let's keep reading the article, shall we? Reason one for the falling testosterone levels. Let's look at it. Obesity and sedentary lifestyles. It says, rising rates of obesity almost certainly play a role in declining testosterone levels. I don't know how anybody could disagree with that. That's very obvious. Being overweight can push the body's hormone axis out of balance and affect how the body's response to insulin, both of which can lower testosterone levels. Let me ask you something. Do you think that the body positivity movement, the pushing of, oh, fitness is far right, you don't want to be a crazy right-winger, you want to be a right-winger, you know, you gotta go out, don't go out there and exercise. I have better things to do than go out there, you know, and actually work on my body. I'll get plastic surgery at 45. What do I need exercise for? I'll get liposuction. I don't need health. Well, this is a consequence of people's actions. Yes, consequences exist, my friends. Yes, your actions have consequences that don't only affect you, but they affect you the most. Let's keep going. External toxins. Now, this one is interesting, and I've been onto this for a while. The annual global production of plastics has grown from 50 million to 300 million tons since the 70s. Science is now seeing the connection between this and the changes in our hormonal health. I don't like plastic, by the way. I don't. You need to have clean water, and clean water is very easy to get in a plastic bottle, so I'm not blind to that reality. But what I will tell you is this. If you can avoid drinking out of plastic bottles and get clean water, do it. And if you can get a bottle that has, like, it's BPA free, do it. Whether it's like a Yeti or a Hydro or whatever, do it. Because it will help you. Trust me. I'm not just coming up with this out of thin air. There is science to support this. Oh yeah, here it goes. Many plastics contain EDCs. EDCs can be found in plastic bottles, food storage containers, liners of metal cans, and detergents. Now, there's one you might... Wow, look at this. Number 3, fewer smokers. Interesting. This might surprise you, which actually it is kind of surprising. But some data shows that smoking marginally increases testosterone levels, though not all studies agree with this. Now, I'm not saying you should suddenly go to the liquor store or the corner store and go out there and start smoking cigarettes. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I find this interesting because you look at old pictures from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. People smoked more. Now, personally, I like cigars. I don't like cigarettes. I think they're low class and kind of bleh. But I smoke cigars from time to time. And, I mean, you look at the science. Smoking apparently helps with testosterone levels. So now I'm not saying you should go out there and smoke, but I'm saying that it's another difference between older generations and the younger ones. Stress and mental health problems. It says acute stress may cause testosterone levels to spike, but both physical and psychological long-term stress is likely to lead to reduced testosterone levels. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little hesitant on this because stress is part of the human condition. When you make a normal human emotion, a normal human function a disease, Big Pharma makes billions. Whether it's pregnancy, whether it's stress, whether it's depression, or anything else. When you make a normal human emotion a disease, people start to fear their own bodies and fear their own mind. They start to go to war with themselves even more than they were before. They start to fear themselves and fight against themselves, which benefits the people in power, but it does not benefit society. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't go get help if you need help. Go get help. What I'm saying is you need to really look at, can I actually fix my problems? Do I need medication? I've taken SSRIs. I know what they do to the human person. I know how they affect the mind. I know how they affect your behavior. I know what they do to people, okay? In fact, I have an old empty bottle of them to remind me of where I once was in my life so that I remember that I will never go back to that place ever again. Never! I will never go back. To me, it serves as a reminder of my past to remember and remind myself where I'm going in the future. You need to do the same thing. Now, it might not be something like so straightforward and concrete for you. I would argue that it might help you to do that. But you need to remember the focus on the future. Don't fear yourself. Don't fear yourself. Focus on fueling yourself, because you will propel yourself to higher feats than you could have imagined. Let's keep going. What are the other causes they have? It says, above are a few reasons. Other more off-the-wall theories, oh, this should be good, have been put forward as well. Tighter fitting underwear? Warmer temperatures at home and at the office? This sounds kind of reaching to me. Is there a scientist in the house that can say that this is true? I don't know about this. Tighter fitting. I mean, if you're wearing a thong or something, I could see how that could be, potentially damaging to your two boys down south of the equator. But I don't know. This seems a little far-reaching to me. Diabetes has become more common. I could see that. Again, tying into the obesity thing again. How important is testosterone for men? If you don't know this, please pick up a book or an audiobook, for God's sakes. Go back to 9th grade biology class if you don't know about this. Do they even teach it in biology anymore? Do they even teach that? Or do they teach how to put a condom on a cucumber? I don't know. Let me know. Testosterone is a sex hormone that's, of course, it builds muscle, grows body hair and facial hair, and regulates your sperm production. Actually, I saw something as well that talked about how healthy sperm numbers are down as well for younger people such as myself. Which, I don't know, do you think that's maybe connected to the birth rate that's in constant decline in this country and across the Western nations? I don't know. There could be a correlation here. My friends, the weak men in our society, of which you might still be one of, I hate to be the breaker of bad news, but you might still be part of the problem. If you do not see through the facades in this culture, if you don't see through the lies you're being spoon-fed, if you don't see that you're being deceived every step of the way by forces in play who wish to monetize you and make money to shear you, okay, a lot of people don't seem to know why I call my channel Sheep Get Sheared. I call it that because when the shepherd is gone, which the shepherd is largely gone, and the wolves in sheep's clothing are running the flocks, which is the nations, instead of slaughtering the sheep and just having a one-time use, they shear you. They take the wool and they let you grow back just to take it again. Now, the most straightforward example of that is the rising taxation. But more than anything, it's just the fact that the people in power will take from you every chance they get because they can and you let them do it. You need to be aware of what is happening so you can respond accordingly and not keep getting sheared. Grow some horns, become a ram. Don't just be an ewe forever. Don't just be a pacifist forever. Put some horns on the end of your head so that you can defend yourself. So that you can actually be be potentially a threat to the people who would harm you. That's what you need. That's why I titled the show the way I have. That's why this channel exists. Is I was tired of people coming after me, exploiting me, making fun of me, dragging me through the mud. I was sick of it all. And I started to see through the facades and the lies that people were telling me. And I thought that I can't be the only one seeing this. And I refuse to let what happened to me happen to other people. And that's why I do these shows. My friends, I don't want there to be more weak men to create more hard times. I want there to be more strong men who create good times. That's what we need in this country. But it might come at the expense of the hard times first, because we're already in the beginning of the hard times. War is all over the place. Corruption is like Swiss. Our country is becoming riddled with corruption like Swiss cheese is full of holes. We can't take this anymore. But my friends, what do you have to say about this? What are your thoughts? I want to hear them. You can follow me on Twitter at SheepGetSheared. You can leave your thoughts in the comment section if you're watching on YouTube or on Rumble. If you're listening on audio, you're more than welcome to go over to my Twitter page at SheepGetSheared, or you can go over to YouTube and leave a comment over there. I welcome DMs from people. If you want to go over to SheepGetSheared, you can DM me if you want with topics, your life story. If you want to share. I'm not a therapist, but I'm more than willing to listen. If you want me to use your story on the air, if you don't want me to, just let me know. But my friends, until next time, I wanted to just tell you that this show's not fun to do. It's hard to do sometimes. But it makes everything worthwhile when I hear people tell their stories about how, I'm glad I'm not alone. I'm glad that people actually talk the way that you talk. I appreciate it. I've heard these things. So just know that you feel this way, you're not alone. But anyways, my friends, God bless you. God bless your family, and God bless America. We're out of here. Peace. Enjoy your day.